Muted.
All right, everybody, I appreciate the patience. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Mike Puckett with DataTech. I'm here with Scott Dollar, who is our Director of Sales and Customer Service, and he's just going to kind of do a little intro about DataTech, who we are and what we do, and from there we'll turn it over to Nick with Barracuda, and he's going to be the presenter today for the email security part. So I'll give it to Scott. Thanks.
So good afternoon, everybody. I'm Scott Dollar, Director of Sales with DataTech. I see that we have a lot of customers actually on the call, so that are already very familiar with DataTech. So I won't go into too much detail here. So DataTech, if you want to go to the next slide, Mike. So DataTech, we're actually working on 21 years in business now as an IT services company. We're a little unique in our space, in a managed IT service provider space, in that we actually own our own private data center here in Tampa. We're one of the few managed services provider that actually does that. So we have a 10,000 square foot facility just north of Tampa International Airport. This is a private data center, so we're providing cloud services. Our managed IT services and NOC are all located here. Our backup facility is actually located in Atlanta, Georgia, for clients that are looking for geographically diverse backups. We're right around 45 employees, all DataTech W-2 employees. We do not outsource any IT support. We are 24/7, 365 monitoring and service and support organization. We have clients all across the United States and internationally, across all different industries. And that is for, like I said, cloud, managed IT. Our help desk is here. And we are audited. In our industry, there is it's called the SSA 16. We are SOC 2 Type 2 audited, meaning that the security and availability of our services gets audited over a 12-month period. And as of the last audit, we had 0 exceptions, so no issues. These days, we're really focused in on IT security with the advent of so much ransomware and malicious code out there that folks are getting hit with. So that's around security of clients' information. We're doing a lot in the mobile device management space with containerizing corporate information on mobile devices, Android, Apple, Windows devices, and also doing quite a bit with encryption now and encrypting hard drives in servers and workstations. So a little bit about us. With that, go ahead and turn it over to Nicholas, and he can talk about Barracuda email security. DataTech has been a partner with Barracuda now for 12+ years. So, Nicholas, we'll turn it over to you.
Nick, you there? I have him unmuted. Unmute this person. Let's see. Charlie, you there? Not hearing anybody. All right, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to see Nick. I'm not able to hear you, so I'm not sure what's going on there. You may have to put in the audio pin, Nick. When I hit unmute you, it takes me to an audio pin was sent to you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
There you are.
Okay. I had to right click on my name there and unmute myself. So, hey, if we only have that as a technical difficulty today, I think we're going to be doing good.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just turned over controls for you, so you can take it away. Appreciate it.
Okay, great. Can you guys see? You guys should see the title page of a email security presentation. It should say Microsoft and Barracuda at the top.
Yep, sure do.
Okay, great. Thanks for the introduction, both Scott and Mike. As far as Barracuda goes, we've been a partner on the DataTech side for quite a while now, 12 years. Today, I'm happy to have everyone in the conference to speak to email security. I know archiving is a topic we want to speak to as well. And then I have a little section on ransomware that I think might be good to point out. A little background on myself. I've been working at Barracuda for the last couple of years here. I have a technical background in this exact product segment. Prior to that, I was working both in private and public sector, so on the accounting side as well as on the private sector side. I was working at the Boeing company, doing research and development, tax credits, and administering tax credits for businesses developing things like this. So I've been in the industry for a while, but on a couple different specs or a couple different fronts. So this presentation is really going to be highlighting that email security, archiving, and the ransomware conversation that we're having on a consistent basis. So on the Barracuda side, really our goal here is to just make IT simple, right? We want to provide cloud-connected security and storage solutions that simplify the IT conversation. And we have a product suite, our essentials for email security product suite that we really feel like encompasses that. It's something that we talk about every day. It's one of the fastest growing markets at Barracuda. And we're going to talk about it from primarily a cloud perspective, but we do have the ability to operate the product suite on the different deployments. The products can be deployed virtually if you have the horsepower to run them. We've just talked about kind of them being hosted. You can deploy these and oftentimes around public cloud. So Microsoft Azure and AWS. We recently just got into the Google Cloud space on our next generation firewall platform. So not the conversation today, but something we're moving to. And then, obviously always have the ability to do the hardware. All right. So we're really trying to provide a value position here around the email security standpoint, and that includes the Office 365 environment. By providing a complete kind of level of protection against threats. It also has to be easy to use, so we have a very simple pricing structure around it, a very simple installation structure. You guys work with DataTech on a consistent basis of getting this stuff up and running. These guys are experts on this side of getting everything queued up. And then we have to be able to provide everyone with the support and the connected model. And that model is kind of what I spoke to a little bit earlier around the deployments, the flexibility, and the usability or the ease there as well. This kind of speaks to how the industry is growing, right? So this is just a graph from 05 to 16 around revenue growth around this product segment. So it's not going anywhere. I would say this kind of the move we're seeing from customers today that are doing things like moving off their on-prem exchange to like a Office 365 or a hosted email security solution. That's something that we've seen grow quite a bit. The only thing that I would say would be a higher accelerated growth path would be that of the public cloud adoption in the industry today. So we're seeing a lot of movement there, right? And these graphs just kind of speak to it, what those market caps look like, the amount of enterprises, mid to SMB size companies, and then the smaller companies as well moving here. So there's just a large adoption piece across. Now we're going to get into a little bit more of the products, right, and how those work, what they look like on a network, and really kind of get into the details. So we're talking about email security today, but Barracuda, we really cater to a customer that needs, a full network architecture solution. So over a third of our customers today operate more than one Barracuda product. We're talking about email security, we're talking about archiving today, but we have a really great next generation firewall specifically for public cloud customers. That's something that we have a huge focus on. It really specializes in a dispersed network. We have things like web application firewalls. We have productivity suite products that work in the link balancing, load balancing. And then we have, our storage segment, right? So our storage products that can sit on site, they can operate virtually or in the cloud. And then the focus around those deployments, like I said, in all aspects, in all scenarios. So one of the important pieces here, this is kind of the meat of the presentation today, is going to be around this Essentials product suite. And the naming convention, it says for Office 365, but it works 100% the same way for our customers who are operating with an on-premises Exchange or any other mail product out there. There's very few we're incompatible with. We do most of all of it. But we have a solution that really encompasses email security, protection from advanced threats or zero-day attacks, and the ability to archive mail. Now, we feel like this is important because we want to cover all the bases. We want to be that vendor who does all those things and does all those things well. On the Microsoft side, we play really great. We were awarded their #1 ISV or the partner in the Azure marketplace last year at their World Partner Conference in Toronto. It was a designation that we're really proud about. It's something we kind of wear as a badge out in this industry. It's tough. There's a lot of competition out there, and with that being said, we kind of pride ourselves in the designations that we have received there. All right, so I'll just kind of speak to each of these points specifically and what they include and kind of the protection around them. So on the email security side, when you're talking email security, you're really looking at things like protecting from phishing, spam, spoofing, spyware, antivirus protection, protection around denial of service attacks. Oftentimes, email security products include things like continuity or email spooling. So you want an integrated protection layer around that in case there's a network outage. You want to have the ability to be able to keep business going, right? So that's there where that continuity piece comes in. And that's something today that Barracuda also does within this product suite. Additionally, encryption is something that is usually a big one. We have a large customer base, whether that be customers with HIPAA compliancy needs. We have a lot of organizations with needs around FINRA, so financial, or our attorney customers. We have a lot of encryption needs around that. Our email security product provides the ability to do that as well. And what that looks like is kind of your classic pull style encryption. It gives our customers the ability to be able to send an encrypted email out, have an enterprise solution. Industry gold standard 256 AES encryption allows them to communicate with whoever that be on the other end of that email, and then log into a secure message center to be able to access that mail and then reply back to you, the customer, who's using Barracuda today. So it gives a good answer around encryption in most cases. So that's a feature set of this product as well. On top of that, there's a feature set that includes like a large file transfer for some of those larger files within the network. And we're doing this around both inbound and outbound filtering, and really giving our customers, our partners, the ability to fully control the network. And if you guys have any questions, shoot them into the chat, and I can address that specifically, anything that we're going over here. But the product is really designed to keep the network secure around some of these more sophisticated attacks that we're seeing today, right? Barracuda leverages all of these different resources to kind of protect our consumers. So earlier I talked about all the different product segments we're in, across the NG firewall suite, across our productivity line or storage. Whenever we see a definition within that, that's something that we're able to leverage, use that aggregated data and protect our users. We're in over 120 countries, and I believe we have over a couple 100,000 customers today across all these products. So we see a lot of things. We have a very large both depth and breadth of product, of threat vector nuances. So we can see something somewhere and leverage that definition across another product suite. That's kind of where Barracuda really feels like we have a secret sauce, if you will. You'll hear people talk about that. This is also a great tool and great leverage point around the sensitive data, right, from leaving the organization. So that's a point on here, and I should have brought that up around the encryption piece, but it's our DLP technology, right, or data loss or data leakage protection. So we can configure certain rule set policies to scan outgoing mail and make sure that that mail goes out, encrypted, or goes out to a secure center for an administrator to release if there's sensitive information in there. And we can configure that around privacy or HIPAA keywords or terms. Additionally, we can do that for custom things. So something that I've seen customers do is maybe they want the ability to encrypt email just with a keyword. So we can say, hey, let's scan all outgoing email. Let's scan the subject line. And if you see the word encrypt in the subject line, automatically send that email out encrypted. You could do that for other things as well. I just used the encrypt keyword, but you could really do it for any kind of keyword, and you could search within the subject, the headers, the body, even the attachments to make these things happen. That's where a lot of our HIPAA compliancy customers, the product really shines. So I hope all that makes sense. And that's really a kind of a good kind of high-level explanation of the email security product. We talked about the different feature sets available, the ability for that to operate across the different deployments, and the security, the aggregation of data, and what it looks like on the Barracuda side. And I didn't see any questions, so I'm going to move on to the archiving component, right? So from an archiving perspective, Barracuda knows that email will only get you so far. We have customers that have huge archiving needs. We can do that as well. We have a lot of very popular customer segments within the archiving. Specifically, we do a lot of educational-based archiving. We do a ton of government stuff. So, and I bring those up as examples because usually they have the highest needs around granularity within the product suite. Private sector, we do those all day. Lots of customers, look into and look at those messages. But with that being said, we do see a lot of our government customers really needing those kind of higher level granularity terms and phrases around that. I got a question here, so I'm going to go back real quick. So the question was, does around encryption, does that mean I do not have to encrypt in the subject line for email to be encrypted? Yes. So that's an example of a way to encrypt the email. Today, we have a plugin for our hardware appliances as well. So a plugin that can sit in Outlook, and you can hit that button to encrypt mail as well. Also, you can do other custom rule sets around encrypting email. So maybe we do a scan of all outgoing email around privacy or HIPAA compliance needs. We can automatically send that email out encrypted. So based on key terms, one example, we can recognize things like social security patterns in an email. So we can actually scan an email for things like social security patterns. This is a rule you can create and say, if you ever see an email with a social security pattern, send it out encrypted. So that's something that you can do as well. So there's a few different variations of how you can do that. So hopefully that makes sense. Perfect. So getting back to the archiving, I kind of use those kind of big industries as examples of archiving customers and needs there. On the Barracuda side, the Barracuda archiver is going to be able to accomplish whatever retention you have, whatever archiving needs you have, and the level of granularity there. If we have customers that when you look at the deployments of the product suite, so we can do that a couple different ways. We talked about the variation. So if you needed to prop this up as a virtual product, we can do that. If you needed to prop this up as hardware on site, we can do that as well. If you wanted to use a hosted option, we have you covered there also. These different options, the products are virtually the same. There's really only a couple instances where the deployment might give you one or feature or not, and I'll give you a specific example of that. Our hardware product, we basically size our customers out based on the size or the capacity of the appliance. So they have ratings of about how many people in the organization would be good to operate the product. With that, we have a stubbing feature for that email. Now, our hosted archiving solution, we sell that product based on a user count. So if you had 50 users in the organization, we give each user a license. And we actually give them unlimited storage within that. So stubbing, therefore, is not a feature set that's available on the hosted solution because we don't really see a need or regard for it because we're giving the customer the unlimited space within the archiver. So I hope that makes sense. But that would be an example of kind of a one-off custom nuance between deployments of an archiver. Archiving is obviously pertinent to a lot of organizations' business day to day. We have things like litigation where we have to protect against. We have instances where we just need to protect against accidental deletion. This is a non-issue with the Barracuda archiving product. You're going to be able to set whatever retention you want and be able to archive against it. If you need to create custom retention for different groups, different people in the organization, that's something you can do here as well. A lot of our customers today will do, typically we see a global policy level set across the entire organization, and that's kind of blanketed across all user segments. And then, it's pretty popular to see a customer say, but we want to keep all executive email forever or CEO email forever. So for the CEO, we will create a custom retention policy that says, keep everything forever here. If we need to find mail, we can do any kind of search, right? We have a bunch of different indices that can be dropped down and pulled out and pulled in and give you the ability to search within that mail. So a good example of that would be if you guys have mail that you need to pull between a colleague somebody at the organization and maybe a vendor outside the organization. It's going to be easy for you to do. You can do that within a date range. You can specify time. You can specify mail addresses. You can specify whether they were CC'd or an alias. You have all these different indices there to be able to pull that. So it makes it really easy. Now, if you're doing this for an attorney, for example, and you can pull this search and you can find all this mail. You can export it. You can pull it all down and export it pretty easily. On top of that, you can actually also make that attorney, for example, you can make them an administrator, and you can make them an administrator with the specific credential of being able to view that specific saved search that you pulled. It's going to be a good way for you to put the onus or the work onto that litigation scenario to kind of get you out of having to do, even something as simple as the download, right? It really depends on the size of mail you guys have at the organization to accomplish this. So it's a pretty powerful product, and that's typically how we see our customers use the archiver to protect against accidental deletion, to protect against litigation. They oftentimes use it from a back end or an administrative side to be able to find any of that mail. But there's a second feature set that our product has that not a lot of people might think it might be good for. Myself as an end user within the organization here at Barracuda, I have the ability to search on our archiver. So what that looks like is I can look for any mail that I've ever received or deleted, and it could have been deleted off the exchange, but it's pulling from the Barracuda archiver. So I myself can, and my colleague over here, Kyle Schuberg, he's one of my kind of storage mentors at Barracuda. You guys should see his email inbox. He deletes every single thing that he ever receives. So his mail folder and pulling from the exchange, it's tiny. I mean, he never has any email in there, maybe 30 to 50 messages, if that. He deletes everything. Oftentimes you'll walk by and he has nothing, because he knows he can open up the Outlook plugin for his Barracuda message archiver and conduct a search of any email that he's ever received. It's really slick. It makes it easy to find almost anything. You can pull up the email. It'll include all the attachments. So it's a really slick tool, and it gives your end users the ability or the confidence to be able to keep those email inboxes clean, not have to worry about deleting things, and not have to worry about creating those complicated folder or file structures that you see some people do, right? I'm guilty of that in the past, where I had been working with lots of different vendors, right? And I'd keep a folder for every vendor, right? And I don't need to do that anymore, because I have the ability to search within the product to get that executed. So that's really one of the powerful instances of the product being able to do something outside of kind of the norm, and really kind of where Barracuda shines. And like I said, you can do all the typical stuff with the product around like the litigation holds and whatnot. Another thing that the archiver, another cool feature set of that, is you can actually have it sit as an application on your iOS or your Android devices. Just like anything else, can sit on your phone like a Facebook. And this is really good for our outside salespeople. What we often see them do is, they'll go out to a specific territory. They'll be in a city that they don't necessarily live by, but they might want to go visit another customer that they don't see on a typical basis, right? And so if they do that, one of the things they'll do, and they might come across another customer that they just happen to be in the area and wanted to do a drop by. If you have to search through your Outlook on your phone, everybody knows it can be a little bit of a nightmare, especially if you're one of those people who has those folder structures. It can make it really difficult when you don't have a full desktop. So with the archiver, you have a mobile optimized search pane, kind of like the Outlook plugin that I described earlier on the desktop, but it's mobile, and it allows you to search through any mail there. So it's really cool for those road warriors, and it's something that I use consistently whenever I have to access email outside of work. So that would probably cover kind of what the archiver looks like here at Barracuda. We talked about it from an administrative perspective. We talked about its retention, the different deployments, again, the ability or the functionality from an end user perspective, and kind of what litigation and popular industries that it's used for. So that would be around the cloud side, or the archiving side, excuse me. The only other segment in here that I'll hit on, and this is going to be the one instance where at Barracuda or with this product suite, we only actually have the ability to operate this one feature set in an Office 365 environment, and that's because it's made specifically for it. It's this last column. So it's a cloud-to-cloud backup product. What it does is it backs up Office 365 environments. It'll back up their Exchange, their OneDrive, and their SharePoint. And it's like a typical backup, right? You know, this is kind of the classic definition of the difference between an archiver and a backup product. A backup product, or this right here, is going to be that snapshot in time for those three instances: the Exchange, the OneDrive, and the SharePoint environment. And that is going to be only available for our Office 365 customers. But it's going to, you know, it looks to accomplish the same things. If you have to restore maybe an entire mailbox, it's pretty easy to do there on the Office 365 side. If you need to restore files from accidental or mismanaged deletion there, it's something that you can do. So I don't want to get too much into the Office 365 stuff, but that would be one of the differences that would only be available for an Office 365 customer. So I hope that makes sense. The hosted solution, this Barracuda Essentials hosted solution, can be purchased with each one of these specific pieces of functionality a la carte, so email security or archiving or cloud-to-cloud backup. But we offer them in bundled suites or plans that include, they just add one thing that the previous plan didn't have, and you can purchase them that way as well. The only thing I didn't touch on here is because it was not outlined, but I have it later in the slide deck, would be our advanced threat detection. And I'll get into that. It's a component of email security, but I have a couple slides around it that are probably good to show, you know, around ransomware and whatnot. So around implementation right here, right? So we're pretty much seeing our customers do, and this speaks to the Office 365 standpoint specifically. Anybody who moves offsite, we see them do, they're preparing to move over, then they're finally migrating, and then they're operating. So people can live within these zones for, you know, a certain amount of time. With that being said, one of the perks and the great things about the Barracuda is it helps our customers migrate to these places faster. So, you know, it's not uncommon to see people live in some of these zones for, you know, as much as a year, 365 days. It just depends how much mail they have, quite honestly. But that is something that we see, and these are kind of, like I said, the three distinct pillars of what it looks like when customers are moving around. Here's the advanced threat detection piece I wanted to hit on that wasn't on that 2 slides ago. So this is a component of email security. It's something that we're doing today that we see as one of the largest threats to our customers within a network, and one of the most it's just one of the nastiest ones out there, and it's that way for a couple of reasons. So we're talking about advanced threat detection is what Barracuda calls it, or advanced threat protection, ATD or ATP. It does more than just detect it, it prevents it. It gives an administrator the ability to see what these zero-day threats look like and manage against them. So these is the, you know, things around phishing and spoofing is all included in there. The previous email stuff that we were talking about, but the zero-day threat stuff. So this is stuff that we don't have definitions against, right? So, you know, there can be things out there that we've never seen, or we subscribe to third-party vendors that aggregate definitions of email security nuances, and we use those as well. And so if it's something that's not there, not something that we've seen, how do we protect against it? We do that with this ATD or ATP. What it is, it's an independent sandboxing environment that sits off the network. When you receive an email and it has an attachment, based on the file type of that attachment, we'll scan that in that independent sandbox environment. That's a full emulation environment. So that's important to note, because a lot of the other vendors out there today are operating just virtual machine environments. And a full emulation environment requires a little bit more resources. It's a little bit more taxing, but in the end, it's important, because if we're going to run something there or we're going to detonate something there, we need to see that happen. And if these zero-day threats can detect that they are indeed on a virtual machine and their resources aren't there, they can not deploy. And then if they don't deploy, that means it's therefore deemed clean and sent onto the network. So that's really what we're protecting against here. So we'll detonate those there, and if there's anything malicious, we will follow that up and make sure that it's not delivered to your end users. So that is important. So when you have email security products, you usually have a message log for all the email security. You'll have a separate message log that shows messages that were ran through our advanced threat detection or advanced threat protection product. The message log, in every single instance of running something there, we will show a 2 to 3 page report. And the length depends on how nasty it is. So if there's a bunch of executables that we were able to find within the instance, then we will list those out. This picture is a little bit old. This isn't what it looks like. It's a little bit more slick these days. But it's by far one of the most popular conversations that I'm having on any given day around advanced threat or and the protection from it. And the reason for that is it's so easy to access. Any one of us on this call today can go on to the dark web, can go onto a torrent or anything. And we can actually, and we've talked about different products today, right? We've talked about, we're talking about a software as a service product right now. We're talking about Barracuda as a software as a service. You hear all these as a service product terms in the industry today. The reason that ransomware is so prevalent is because it's an as-a-service product. So we literally have a segment for this call on ransomware as a service. So this is something that, like I said, anyone can go out there. They can download a ransomware attack, buy names of individuals, and send a coordinated attack out to those individuals. They can filter through the payment method or the ransom from any customers that they do affect. And that's going to probably be done in Bitcoin. All of this is automated. It's something that you don't even have to do. It's all done on dark web, and they have it manipulated and mapped out so at such a high level that these services even have support systems. So you can buy support guarantees, 24/7, 365 support around a coordinated ransomware attack. So it's a nasty business, and I keep using that term because I don't really know how else to describe it. So this is why we feel like the advanced threat detection piece is so important. And that revolves around the link protection and the typo squatting, right? Those embedded links in there. So looking and scanning and reviewing all those. So hopefully that all makes sense. That's kind of the ransomware, anecdote, if you will. I don't see any questions, so I'm going to move on. I have a couple more slides on it, but they're pretty quick. They just kind of show, the gravity of the situation. So I haven't updated one of these. I don't want to go through my files to pull it up. But this shows, it's just a cool fishbone chart, and it shows, back in even as early as 2012, we were talking about one instance maybe, and then you look forward, and it's just, we had to start measuring this instead of by year, but by quarter, and all the the variations of the attacks that are out there. So anybody can fall prey to these because anybody can execute them. All right. And these are just some of the, we see all these headlines, right? We all know about Target and Home Depot and, any hospital out there. Our CEO, or sorry, not our CEO, our one of our executives, our worldwide sales executives, was sitting at a table at one of our customer events, two very large customers that are Barracuda customers, or in one instance, a prospective Barracuda customer. And they had both fallen victim to a ransomware incident. And Barracuda and Michael Hughes, our senior vice president of worldwide sales, asked them, so what'd you guys do? What happened? In the first instance, the customer said, I didn't pay it. We have a Barracuda backup in place locally. We reverted all our files to the old backup. It was something, and this was before advanced threat detection was out there. I reverted all our files to the old statement and go from there. We realized that we needed to get the advanced threat detection. We hadn't had that. It was newer at the time. This product's been around for just a year. It just turned a year old in March, I believe. And so they deployed that after, but they had the nuances in place, or the protection in place to be able to do that. The other customer, who was a prospective Barracuda customer, he paid it. He paid the ransom to get all his files. Like he said, he had no choice. It was something that they needed to have in the network, or it very well could have shut business down. So this is something that is, like I said, it's a conversation I have multiple times a day, and I'm sure all the other gentlemen on the call at DataTech and both Charlie on the Barracuda side can speak to as well. I like to include a couple of customer examples of the Barracuda Essentials product in here. This is one of our larger customers, Summit Trucking Group. They had about a 1,500 user seg point. They wanted to implement an email security solution across 30 locations, and they needed it to be standardized. They utilized the email security service to do so because it's going to really give that central management feature set across, a dispersed network in this instance, make it feel like one. Is granular enough for them to execute all their security needs, while at the same time having the ability to manage it all at that level. Multiple domains aren't an issue here. We can manage those individually, or we can manage them globally. It's very easy to do. On top of that, the solution was something, and they were a large fan of it for a couple reasons. It was easy, it was quick to deploy, and it clearly put them back on track to get off the focus here. I don't want to take too much more time. I got a couple more slides. I'm going to kind of try to move through them fast. I'm going to do about 5 minutes so we have plenty of time for Q&A and talk about the giveaway at the end too. So we went over the archiving service and how easy it is to leverage and perform in the network. Here's kind of a snapshot of that, and you can kind of see down below, and there's going to be another slide here that's going to show what that would look like on a Android or iOS device. It's also going to do things like the archiver is going to be able to archive conversations from Link, Skype for Business as well. Do archiving around notes and appointments also. So if you need to restore those to a specific instance, we can do that. The integration with Outlook, as I spoke to, giving your end users the functionality to be able to come in here, find any email that they've ever received, even if they're deleting it off the exchange. We can have a folder sync deal that will pull from the Barracuda archiver to be able to find any of that email. So it's a great all-in-one solution. And here's a deeper look at the application sitting on both an iPhone and an iPad here. And like I said, it's compatible with Android as well. All right. I'm going to skip over this really quick. It's just another customer example around, in this instance, around archiving, where we were a great fit for kind of a large dispersed network as well. Kind of some install-based survey. Everybody, these things kill me. I love seeing, we have our marketing department. They put together all this information about people migrating and show. And I always just think these things are the coolest. I should have gone into marketing. We talked about all the other solutions at the company today across and the different deployments, whether it be on-prem, as a service, or hosted, and in public cloud. And you can add the Google Cloud on there as well around those next generation firewall and web application firewall product segments. So, whether we are one of, if not the only vendor in the industry, I believe, that's protecting against every single threat vector. Something the Barracuda is proud about. Here's the interfaces across a lot of these different products. So you can see our backup, our archiver, and then in the back is the email security. They have that macro tab with a sub-tab heading. That's important because we have to have that continuity across the product suite. If it's not easy to use and intuitive, if you use one Barracuda, you got to be able to use another one. And that's really where it comes into play of those customers where I said over a third of our customers have multiple Barracuda deployments and can manage those as a central management feature set within our Barracuda Cloud Control. So you can manage your backup from one tab in your Cloud Control over here. By clicking in this, it pulls up this. You can manage email security, which you see here. They're in it right now. And then here, if you need to manage the archiver, you could click this tab, and then you'd be in this archiving component. So it has to be easy to use. It has to have commonality and be a slick product. They all have these dashboard pages on the front, and these really are kind of the 30,000 high-level view before you get into the minutia of the product suite. This is the last slide of the presentation, everyone. It just goes to kind of speak to the multi-layer security issues around and protection around compliance, and the ability to both back up, restore, and protect all that information. I know it kind of talks about Office 365, but it's going to work and work well and easily on an on-premise exchange here. So I hope that all makes sense. I want to have some respect for time today if there's any questions and to kind of outline that giveaway. So I think that's all I have, Scott and Mike.
Hey, Nick, I think there was a question from Sue there about Office 365 and archiving.
All right.
So the question is, do I understand correctly that the only solution for email archiving and retention is Office 365?
Yeah, no, definitely not the case. Office 365 has an archiving solution, but there's a couple different things around it that that they do that we might do a little differently, right? So one of the things where Barracuda is pretty handy is it kind of it gets you out of having all your faith in one vendor. So if something happens on their end, you have something on another end. They do provide an archiving solution, but they have a couple limiting factors around it where the Barracuda kind of has a little bit more flexibility. Some of that archiving and those higher level security products don't start till the higher level plans, whether that be like an E3 or an E5. With the Barracuda, you can segment or augment an E1 license plan, or even some of the charitable C503 plans with a Barracuda product. So we can help augment those so that you don't need to be in the highest level plan. And then on top of that, specifically around archiving, we can give our customers the full or in our cloud archiving product, we give them unlimited space. So you can set whatever retention you want. Every single time an email is journaled to that exchange in the cloud in Office 365, we're getting a copy of it. So it's a way to diversify our data. We offer the unlimited retention, and then we have the granularity or searchability around the email. There's one more instance I'll give around the email archiving that is a difference between us. We have had customers that have had issues around needing to do a search for older email, because if email is over a certain age, it's sitting in a data center that the customer doesn't have the ability to access. They have to submit a request for a Microsoft administrator to find that email within their collection parameters, and then that's returned back to them. In certain instances, that can be up to a 2-week turnaround, whereas with the Barracuda, if you can log into the user interface, if you can enter the search criteria, you can pull the search. So that would be one. That would be a couple of the differences. Hope that answered the question. And I couldn't see that question in the chat, so that's why I didn't get to it. So if there's any more, you just shout them out to me.
Yeah, and I think with, and this is Scott with DataTech, I think with so many clients online or on this call, a lot of our clients are in our hosted exchange here in our private data center, and are not on 365. So I think the answer is, we're currently using Barracuda for spam and for encryption, but we also have the ability to use the Barracuda archiver as well. So that is an option for clients.
Okay. Any other questions out there? Nick, I kind of had a question there. I'm definitely that guy that has a million folders in my Outlook, and and I categorize them, but I get the the warm, fuzzy, comfy feeling of being able to see those folders and know where they are and know I have them. Now, when you archive that, can you archive folders and then go back and search for those without so that you can reduce the size of your inbox?
Yeah. Yep. So definitely. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to pull my Outlook over here so you guys can see it. Okay. Don't judge me. I was out all last week, so I have a million emails in here. But one of the things we can do, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. So here's that Outlook plugin I was talking to you about. So I can search any archived mail in here. I can search for. Let's say I want to search for the word backup in the subject of the email, and I want to search from, let's use my colleague. So I want to search any email from him that contains this word in the subject. Do this search really quick, and boom, okay. So there's 55 instances where that was the case. Here's the ones that include an attachment. I can double click on any of these and download it. And here we go, boom. So there's that email. I can fully reply to it, forward it, whatever I need to do. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is, I told you, or you brought up that, here's the folders I have. So I have a couple folders right here. I have it based on colleagues that I have to interact with. And if you click down below, this is pulling, so this is all up here. This is all pulling from the Exchange. So if I drop my inbox down, this is all pulling from the Exchange. I can delete emails out of here and they can go away. This is pulling from the archiver. So I can't delete any emails out of here. In fact, if I delete an email off this client folder that says Client Nick, it will cease to exist up here, but it will still exist down here. Now, if you move a file anywhere in here, that's synced up once a day, so that would happen nightly. But you can always access it. It always exists on the archiver. It's just it won't recognize that move until it syncs it up, on a nightly basis. But it will always be here, anytime. So does that answer the question about supporting the intricate folders and how and what and if Barracuda will be able to still maintain that?
Yep, I think so.
Cool.
Definitely. So,
like I said, excuse the mess on here. Don't judge me.
You don't even want to see mine. So, but well, that's good. It doesn't look like we have any other questions. So, if we want to move on to the next piece here.
All right. Charlie, are you on here?
I'll unmute him. He's going to have to unmute himself.
So So one thing I had to do, Charlie, is I went to my name. I clicked on the names where the 10 attendees are, and I right-clicked my name, and then I was able to like unmute myself that way.
Yeah, I'm here. What's up, guys?
There you go.
What are we doing now? Are we giving away a free Echo Dot?
Yes.
Okay. Do I just pick randomly, or that's what we're giving away, so we can just pick after the call and contact the person?
Okay.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware, and that we'll definitely do that and get back to everybody on that.
Yeah, well, I'll just probably get the shipping address and just send it directly via Amazon. But just everyone be aware that a lucky person that attended today is going to win an Echo Dot.
Very cool.
We'll do a lottery, Charlie.
Yeah, we'll just do a lottery.
Okay.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well, I appreciate everybody that was on it. Thank you, Charlie and Nick, for presenting here the Barracuda product. Hopefully everybody got some good information out of this, but this is our information. A lot of you know who DataTech is, but those of you that don't, feel free to give us a call or email us with any other questions, or if you want some more demos or more insight about the Barracuda security product, we're more than glad to participate and get you on that.
Yep, absolutely.
So with that being said, thank you all, and again, we will do a lotto drawing of all the attendees, and we'll try to get back with you this afternoon, if not first thing tomorrow.
Have a great afternoon, all.
Thanks, everyone.
Great.